Hi guys, can you hear me? Sorry, couldn't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we are quite a less number of people. I'll wait for 2 more minutes, I think, and then we can start our session. Okay, I think we can start the session. There seemed to be no reminder from the NPTEL, and that's why this low number of people. But yeah, I think I'll start with the third week problem solving session. So I'll start with the first question. It's on your screen. I'll give you 2 minutes or 1 minute to read the question and get back to me with the answer. Yes, Sheikh, do you have anything to say? 5 and 5. Okay. So Raihanul has said 5 and 5. Anybody else with the answer? I mean, any other answer? Or do you all agree with Raihanul? Am I pronouncing it right, Raihanul? I mean, is that your name? Is that how you say it? Okay. Okay, actually, the answer is not C. So, can you tell me what other, could it be A, B, or D? The answer is not C. People who have come a little late, this is the first question of the session. So you can read the question and give me the answer either on the chat box or just say it out loud. So you heard the lecture from the professor, right? Professor Ankur. He did talk about alpha and beta diversity. Yes or no? Okay. So alpha diversity is basically the diversity within a habitat, and beta diversity is within the whole ecosystem. So, like between all the habitats. Yeah. Anybody else with any other answer apart from C? C is wrong. C is not the answer. Anybody else with any other answer? What do you think? Is it A, B, or D? B. Okay. So the answer is I'll just no. So the answer. Sorry, Deepali. The answer is just A, 14 and 29. So the alpha diversity is also, I asked if the alpha index for grassland. So grassland would have 5 of unique species that are only found in grasslands. Then 3, 5, and 1, which are found in grasslands but also found in other habitats. So that would mean that 14 of them are found in grasslands. So that is 14 species in grasslands. So that is the alpha index. And the beta index is for the entire habitat would be sum of all the numbers that you see on the screen. So 5 plus 3 plus 10, that is 18, plus the rest of it, that would be 29. Do you get do you get the reason, everyone? So beta is basically beta is for the entire ecosystem, and ecosystem includes three habitats: grassland, forest, and wetland. So if we are talking only about the grasslands, then the alpha diversity is all number of species within the grassland. That would include the unique species and the ones that are shared amongst the habitats. And then beta diversity would be all the entire number of species in the entire habitat. That would include the species in grassland, forest, and wetland, the unique ones, also the shared ones amongst them. Sure. So that is the answer, 14 and 29. Is everyone okay with that? Then I'll move ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is on your screen. This has it has been slightly covered. It has been just mentioned, but I would just like to add to your knowledge. What do you think is the answer? So Professor has just mentioned biodiversity hotspots. He hasn't exactly told which ones which. So, there are 4 global biodiversity hotspots in India, and what are those parts of? These biodiversity have their own names. So, what do you think the answer is? So these answers, starting from Monica, is the answers for question 2, is it? Monica is saying A, is it? Raihanul is B, and Ritik is B. Vilas is B. Okay. Interesting. Monica, why do you is your answer for the first question or the second question? I didn't get it. Monica, is it for first question or second?
Sir, for second question.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people are getting B. Yeah. So I'll just tell you the answer. Sorry, Monica, the answer is not A, it's B. 4 people are right: Raihanu, Ritik, and Vilas, and Liston. So in A, you have mountains of Central Asia that isn't a part of India. Then in C, you have mountains of Southwest China that may be part of Southwest China is not a part of India again. And in D, you have Wallacea, however you call it. That is again where Papua New Guinea and those islands are. So again, not a part of India. So what is a part of India is in the next sheet. It's given. Yeah. So these are the parts of India which actually fall under global biodiversity hotspots. So you have Himalayas. Then you have Northeast India, which come under Indo-Burma. Then you have Western Ghats, which come under Western Ghats and Sri Lanka. It's combined as biodiversity hotspots. And then you have Andaman and Nicobar Island, which comes in Sundaland. So these are the 4 global biodiversity hotspots that fall in our country. So everyone okay with that? Shall I move on to the... Okay. Raihanul, what do you have? Raihanul, please, can you speak up or... Yeah, it would be better if you can speak up. You have some doubt in first question. Yes, Raihanul, do you want to say something? No, you are not audible. Or am I the only one not listening? Not hearing Raihanul. Can everyone hear Raihanul? If we want to find gamma diversity, okay. So I exactly don't know how to calculate gamma diversity. Some say it's beta minus alpha, some say it's beta upon alpha. So if you look at papers, you would find how exactly to find what's the latest of calculating gamma diversity. I'm seriously unaware of it. So, mm, yeah, I can't help you in that. So I only know, I think I know what alpha and beta diversity is, and that's why I only ask that. Gamma diversity, I think you can ask Ankur sir, or better you can Google a little bit. I mean, you can check on Google Scholar. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Thank you. Yeah, so this is your next question. I'll give you a minute to read everything, so that would be easier. This was, yeah, this was one of the, um, yeah, so this is about how to evaluate ecosystem services and stuff like that. There are like different ways, there are different methods, and this is on one of them. So I'll give you a minute to read upon that. Market price method. Hmm. The market price method, it's actually, if you cut like a plantation, then you basically calculate the amount of money that you get from the timber that you get out of the plantation. It doesn't seem that is how it is, right? I mean, market price method, I mean, if you crudely say, if you crudely define it like that, then that's how you calculate it. You cut a piece of land, I mean, you cut a plantation in a piece of land, on a piece of land, and then you try and sell the timber that you get out of the land, and then what is the money that you get? That is your market price method. So similarly, you can do it in other things as well. Say you collect NTFP, non-timber forest product, then you try and sell it. That is so it depends on the market price. So what is the amount of money that you get for all that? So no, it's not market price method. It's either hedonic, travel cost, replacement. So I'll just read the question for you. So this is about the scientist called, his name was Humayun Abdul Ali. I think he's Salim Ali's cousin. So what he did was he looked. So there was this trade that was happening on this frog in Kerala, the frog legs were delicacy in certain part of the world, and they were being exported from India to those parts of the world. So people would catch these frog, and they will sell it in the market. So what he did was he tried to look at basically he tried to look at how many insects do the frog I mean, does every frog catch. So so he looked at the gut contents of these frog and stuff like that. So based on that, he tried to calculate the amount. I mean, he didn't actually, in the paper he didn't, but he tried to calculate the amount of insecticide that would require to kill those many insects. So yeah, so that would be so the export of frogless is more than offset by the use of chemical pesticide, which apart from the cost have deleterious side effects yet largely unknown. So somebody says answer is D. Is there anybody else who thinks something else? It's not A, definitely. It could be D, but do you think it could be B or C? Damage cost avoided. Hmm. Okay, before we get to the answer, so hedonic price is basically you look at the market value of a piece of land based on how where it is situated. So if it's situated in like a mountain next to a beautiful forest, then automatically the price of the land increases. Or if it's situated right to a nice I mean if it's like in certain areas, if the land is situated next to a good road, then automatically the price of that land increases. So that is hedonic pricing method. Travel cost method is basically you calculate how much cost it takes for for suppose you want to make a cake, then how much cost would it take, not just to buy the products but also to also including the travel cost of the ingredients of that cake. So suppose if the maida comes from some part of the world, if the eggs come from other parts of the world, then you calculate all the petrol that has been spent in buying those things. So that is travel cost method. I mean, obviously, egg and maida is easily available, but that's just an example to give you. In these four methods, I think it's replacement or substitute. It could be damage cost avoided method as well, but I mean, in this four method, I mean, in these four options, what do you think, Raihanul, is the answer? Is what I'm asking. I mean, there's a very thin line, there's a very thin difference between replacement or substitute cost and the damage avoided cost. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll go with D as well. So that's why I didn't put damage cost avoided method, because I was also confused, like should I or should I not? But yeah, I gave the other options, which are very different from from the answer. So yeah, the I don't know, the best of the four is answer D. So so Abdul Ali was trying to basically calculate the cost of replacing frogs from the ecosystem. So what would be the cost of replacing these frogs from the ecosystem? How much damage would that create by damage would it create by not killing the insects and by buying the insecticides for to kill the insects later on. So yeah, so I'll go with D in this. Yeah. So the next question is on your screen. I'll give you a minute or 2 minutes to go through the question and give me the answer. So Raihanul says A. Okay. I'll give you a clue. Look, the cost. What are the cost of such a behavior? Like cost would generally be negative in some sense. Negative to the organism that we are talking about. Somebody, Liston says C. So basically, these are yellow-billed babblers, and they have this thing called sentinel behavior, where one member from the group stands guard in a prominent position. So it could be like 2 meters above the ground on a bark or a trunk or something, and the sentinel usually gives out like a keeps giving out a call so that the others are assured that okay, there is no danger, and they keep on feeding. But being a sentinel has certain cost. And yeah, most of the answers coming are C. Yeah. Okay. So the cost is basically, I mean, so option A is decreased predation risk, yeah, but and more meeting opportunities. That is true, but that's not exactly a cost to the sentinel. That's actually a benefit to the sentinel, right? Or actually a benefit to everyone. So predation risk is a benefit for everyone. At least the people, at least the members that are foraging on the ground. More mating opportunities could be a benefit for the sentinel in the future, but not not immediately. But what are the cost for such behavior to the sentinel? Answer would be C. Do you get the I mean get the difference now, Rehanul? I mean, you said A. Do you get it? Yeah. So basically, the sentinel is losing out on the time. I mean, the time to forage, while the others are foraging. The poor sentinel is not able to not able to feed. And the other thing is the sentinel is exposed, like it's standing in an exposed position, open to predation. So that's also an increased predation risk that the sentinel is taking. So those are the costs that the sentinel has to take. Yeah, so if you want, I mean, you can read up on the sentinel behavior on Google Scholar. It's actually very interesting. So, and you can read up further on that. So the answer for this question is C. Move on to the next question. Yeah, I'll give you some time. Okay, so Raihanu says, is there a specific individual that plays the role of sentinel? Uh, it it varies actually on the context, on the species that we or any babbler can play. It seriously varies according to the species that we are talking about. In meerkats and in another babbler that is found in Arabia, Arabian Peninsula, it's called the pied babbler, which one scientist called Amod Zahavi is a very famous scientist. He has been studying it. So there, usually the member that plays sentinel is the alpha male, not even the alpha female. So any other member who takes over the role of sentinel is usually discharged by the alpha male after a while. So alpha male is the one that takes the sentinel role for a longer period of time. In our babblers, I am not sure if people have done the study, but I mean, going by the hypothesis, I think it should be alpha male again. But seriously, nobody has done that kind of a study in India. So if anyone's interested, they can easily, I mean, they can go ahead and do it. Uh, yeah, yeah. In meerkats also, it's usually the alpha male and sometimes alpha female. Yeah, that's all I remember. But yeah. So the fifth question is, the answer everyone's saying is exploitative competition. Wait, I forgot. Apparent competition. Answer is Raihanu says C, Shankari says C, Monica says A, Liston says A. I think people are slightly biased towards C. Is anybody else wanting to say something else? Some other answer? Okay, I'll I'll tell you what all. So exploitative is exploitative and apparent. Both are indirect competition. You don't see the competition directly within the between the individuals that you're talking about. So exploitative is when both the individuals take some resources, and thus the resources get depleted slowly, and that's how the competition is between them. So they're not directly competing with each other, but they are just, so basically if you have 100 seeds on the ground, and there are some 5 birds, and each of them is eating 20 seeds or something like that. So there isn't a very obvious fight among those 5 birds, but they are eating seeds. So if one eats 21 and the other manages to eat only 19 seeds, then so that was an interaction between the 19 and the 21 eating species, but there was no direct competition. I mean, yeah, there was no direct clash that was there between the species. It's just that the resources got over fast because someone ate more. But yeah, so that is exploitative. Apparent competition is between two prey items. So one increases, the predator automatically chooses the increased one and leaves out the decreased one because it's easier to find the one which has higher number, and vice versa. So that's apparent competition. Again, it's one of the indirect competitions where you don't actually see a clash between the individuals that we're talking about, but yeah. So it's either intraspecific or interspecific. Intraspecific is within the species, and I mean the birds that you see are definitely of two species. One is black drongo, and the other is the yellow bill babbler. So the answer is C. So is everyone okay with the answer? Shall I move ahead? Yeah. Cool. I'll go to the next question. Okay, the question is basically about two species, cattle egret and water buffalo. So egrets are about 3.6 times as efficient when feeding with cattle as when foraging alone. So basically, when birds are feeding alone, they are bound to be successful 3 times less than when they are feeding with cattle. So basically, the birds are definitely having a benefit over here, but buffaloes don't exactly get affected much. So there's very little harm or profit that the buffaloes are getting out of this interaction. So the answer could be either amensalism, commensalism, mutualism, or neutralism. Most of the answers are biased towards B, commensalism. So I'll just say what the options are not. So commensalism is basically somebody getting harmed and the other having no effect. Is that is that the interaction that we see over here? Yes or no? I mean, I'll want Dipali to answer because she said A. Yeah. So that's not the relationship. There is something there is one individual that's definitely getting benefited. So definitely not A. Mutualism is where both the individuals get a benefit, but the buffaloes actually don't get affected at all by this interaction. So that's definitely not mutualism. And neutralism is basically both of them don't get affected at all. So, but we can see the bird was getting benefits out of it. So its answer is B, commensalism. Sheikh, do you understand why it's not mutualism and it's B, commensalism? Azim, sorry. Azim, Sheikh. Yeah, okay. Cool. I'll then move to the next question. I'll give you some time to read through the question.
First option, sir.
Rishikesh says first option. Okay. Anybody else? Everyone agrees with Rishikesh, or do you want to disagree and say some other option? So Vilas, Raihanul, Suraj, Liston, Shankari, Laksha, all of them say first. Do you guys know what this behavior is called? What is the term used for this?
Commensalism.
Sir, brood parasitism.
Yeah, that's the answer I was looking for. Sorry, who was it Shankari who said commensalism?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Commensalism. It's not commensalism, no? Commensalism.
what?
Yeah, commensalism is basically there is a minus. No.
Sir, it's a parasitism, na?
Yeah,
One species depends
it's
upon the
parasitism.
another. That means plus minus interaction is there.
Commensalism is plus zero, Shankari. It's not plus
Yes,
minus.
sir. Yes, sir. I understood. sir.
Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So this is plus minus, definitely plus minus, option A. And brood parasitism is plus minus, definitely. So basically, the common hawk cuckoo is a very famous brood parasite in India. And they lay their eggs in reed warbler's nest. And there's so much evolution happened between these two birds that it's quite fascinating. So the egg colors are very similar, although the size are slightly different, but the egg colors are so similar that the birds cannot basically distinguish between the original egg and the brood parasite's egg. Then once the chick is hatched, the chick actually manages to push away all the reed warblers chicks. I mean, it's very fascinating. You should see the videos where any brood parasitism video, you can see the bird is actually carrying the nest like that on the shoulder and pushing it out of the nest, which is it's so fascinating to see it. So there's only one chick left in the nest, that is the brood parasite chick. And again, very fascinating thing about this is the call that the brood parasite chick makes. It sounds like many of the chicks together. Like it's not one chick call. Like it's like it sounds basically like two or three chicks are calling together. So that's the kind of call the brood parasite makes. So it has evolved at that level. So yeah. I mean, people who are aware of it, I'm sorry to have bored you with the details, but people who are not aware of brood parasitism should actually read upon it a bit. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you'll be like blown away by the details. Okay, so the answer is A, and I'll move ahead. Next question, yeah. Also, listen, do you understand why it's not plus 0 and it's plus minus?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So there is one individual that is actually facing cost. So the cost is basically the time that it could actually use to help raise its own offspring. It's actually raising somebody else's offspring. So that is lost. So that's a cost. So that's a minus to that individual. Yeah. So three of them have said D. So has anyone heard of this behavior? Is anyone here a birder? I'm sorry, I've included a lot of bird examples because that is something that I know a bit. But yeah, ecology is all about all the other animals as well. But frankly speaking, I know a little bit. I think I'm a little biased as well. But is anyone here a birder who knows about this behavior, has seen the behavior? Okay. Anyway, so basically, this is a very, it's not very uncommon, this behavior. Okay, anting in crow. Yes, crows have done. I have seen it in black kites in Ahmedabad. So they'll just sit on the river banks and probably sit next to a ant nest or something. And so they don't feed on the ants. And obviously, there's one more behavior. It's called the active anting, where they actually pick the ant and rub all over their body. So that's a different thing. That's where there's a cost to the other party. But over here, the ants just move over on top of the birds like that. And yeah, so the ants also get to eat the ectoparasites from the birds, and the birds are also getting rid of the ectoparasites on their body. So there's a plus plus interaction between both the parties. So I hope everyone got why the answer is D. Shall I move to the next question then?
Yes, sir.
Now I feel I have less number of questions. Okay.
What's the benefit of ants?
Sorry, Bilal, what do you say?
Sir, I want to ask what benefit of ants, sir? What is the
Benefit of ants, the ants are getting to eat the ectoparasite. That's the food for them, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Also, Raihanul mentioned that it's a proto-cooperation and it's not an obligate mutualism. So both of them are plus and plus, but this is proto-cooperation and not obligate mutualism. Can Raihanul explain why is it proto-cooperation? Can you explain? Can you come on mic and explain for everyone? Sorry, I need more interaction. Sorry. Oh, your mic is not working. Okay, cool. Wasn't it working? Okay, so anyways, so the thing is, it's proto cooperation because there isn't an obligation between the animals. Like it's not like the ants have to eat the ectoparasites of the birds, and the birds have to go to the ants to get rid of the ectoparasites. There is no obligation between the two. Benefit. I mean, in mutualism, basically there is some sort of obligation. Like one cannot live without the other. So like in those ants that live in acacia, ants that live off the what are the okay, no, obligate mutualism could be like the coral in which there's a polyp and there is an algae. Both of them cannot survive without the other. So there are two individuals in coral, two species in coral reef, and one is a polyp, which is an animal, and the other is algae. So the polyp collects all the nutrients, and the algae produces food out of sunlight. So both of them are benefited, and but when the temperature is too high, the algae is pushed out of the coral or something that like that happens, and the polyp eventually dies because of the absence of algae. So yeah, so there's an obligatory relationship between the two, and that's why that is mutualism. But this is proto cooperation. That's right, Rahina. So yeah, what is the answer for this question? Has people seen this behavior? People from north of India. It's not very common in south of India, but people from north of India, Ahmedabad, Madhya Pradesh, even Maharashtra, Delhi, it's very common. Happens in winters. The same species. So the question is very general. It's not for this particular bird. So think of it like that. So what are the benefits of group living in general? I'm not asking about this particular bird, but they form murmurations, and so basically murmurations are these huge groups of bird, mostly of single species, that come. Rosy starlings come from the European, from the countries of Europe, and they come in like these beautiful formations. So they form in the evening before they start roosting on a tree or something. So yeah. So the question is very general. It has been covered in Sir's lecture, and it's not particularly about this bird. So think of that and answer. Yeah, I saw the answers A and B, but you can. I'll give you time to rethink. Listen, why did you move from D to B? Was there a reason? Listen.
Because I thought foraging efficiency will increase as they are larger.
So I'm asking in general. What is the so in general, group living actually increases foraging efficiency, no? Not just for this bird. So now, can you give me an answer? Sorry?
Then all of them above will like,
Sorry, listen, you're not very audible.
then all of the above will be
Yeah.
plants.
Does everyone agree with Liston here? Everyone gets the answer now? Listen is not audible. Okay. Listen says all of the above. D is the option, the correct option.
So how, sir? In the B, I have some confusion in that one, sir.
Okay. Go ahead. I mean, tell me. What's the confusion?
Recruiting more birds to create large roost, how this behavior benefit to the group?
Okay. So basically, Shankari, you know what roost is, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
In
roost.
the evening, their resting place.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. So roost for birds is basically where they spend the night, right? Some of these, and it's been, it's a very common phenomenon in tropics, also somewhere in temperate, where if the nights are too cold, then you need like a larger group to huddle together and, keep warmth between the birds. It's very common in penguins. People must have seen on TV penguins huddling together in Antarctica. So basically, the surface area of the entire group reduces if they are all huddled together. But the surface area, once they are like apart, then surface area increases, and that's why the chances of losing more heat increases. So that's why. Roosting, I mean, this kind of behavior, murmuration, at least for starlings, European starlings, and other birds that I have known, they have, they have, first of all, is the predation through dilution. So you have predation. I mean, predators don't get to choose which bird to pick, and even if they do pick one, so then the probability of a particular individual getting chosen or getting predated reduces heavily if they are in large numbers. So that is option A. Then option B is some birds, once there is a large group formed, then there are chances that the other birds also start joining the group, and they all roost at one place. So the larger the group, the warmer the roosting place would be. So that is how it works in certain species. Since I've asked not in this particular species, I've asked it in general. There are hypotheses that say so. If you look at these Good Enough and et al. 2017 paper, you'll understand that that is one of the hypotheses that says that recruiting more birds is possible if you fly around in murmuration. And
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
yeah. And then foraging efficiency, that even sir has covered. Like larger group has better foraging efficiency. He has shown it with some graphs. So the answer is D,
Okay, thank you.
all of the above. I'll move to the next question then. Yeah, this is the last question. Yep, I think everyone got this answer. Yeah. So, yeah, the answer is C. Okay, I'll finish this question and then get back to your 9th question, Dipali. So yes, there is a plus minus interaction over here. All of them are actually procuring their food. On the extreme left, you have merganser, Then on extreme right, you have darter, the snake bird. Then bottom you have a butcher bird, and on top you have a green bee eater. So all of them have different ways of hunting. So because a butcher bird isn't as large as your other raptors, so they don't have like big claws and big beaks, so they cannot although and but they still hunt down comparatively larger prey, but to eat them it's not possible because how the raptors hold on to the prey with their strong claws and then tear apart the meat. That's not possible for this little bird, and that's why it pushes the animal on a spiny branch or something, and then it picks on the meat. So yeah, I mean, and also if it is left for quite many days, for afternoons, so the meat slowly cooks in the sun. And yeah, I mean, apparently people say that it's for the cooked meat that they do it. So it's also called the larder. The larder is where generally in larder is something where people keep their meat to be warm, to be, yeah. So it's the same thing. So same situation over here for the bird, where they where it is using these animals and keeping them in a larder sort of a situation. Then you have merganser and snake bird, which have unique ways of catching the bird. Merganser has like these tooth-like serration on the beak, so that the slippery fish don't get they don't lose the slippery fish. Then snake bird apparently goes underwater and it ambush prey. So it basically if it sees a fish, then it ambushes and pokes the bird with its beak. So when it comes out, it's not exactly in the beak, it's on the beak. It's like, yeah, stuck on the beak, which is, yeah, I mean, I think I haven't seen it in real life, but yeah, I would like to see that. And then you have green bee eater, which plays with its food till the bees actually. So it tries and removes the sting of the bee, so it beats the bee on the branch so that that sting is removed. So yeah, all of them are predating. All of them are foraging, so feeding up themselves. So that's like a predation. So there's no parasitism of any kind involved in it. The normal parasitism or brood parasitism or kleptoparasitism. So yeah, so the answer is C. And Dipali, since you're asking, we'll go back to 9th question. Yeah, what is the problem here? I mean, what do you want me to explain, Dipali?
We're recruiting more birds.
Oh, recruiting more birds. So basically, if you look at roosting, if you look upon, I mean, if you Google search this word roosting in birds, and if you read certain papers, you'll understand that in certain hypotheses they say, why do birds roost? Why do they come together and roost? There are several hypotheses to it. One of them is definitely to detect so there are more eyes, so more eyes to detect prey, so there's better chances of detecting a prey because of more eyes in the group. But then there is one hypothesis which says that the smaller groups have chances, if the birds are in a group, then there's a chance that more birds keep coming and adding to the group, so that becomes a larger group, and that is basically recruiting more birds. And roosting in certain some nights, I mean, even in tropics, even in winters, roosting is basically done to spend the entire night, so that they are warmer. So when there are more birds, then there's a chance that the birds are more. There's a chance that the roosting space is warmer because of more birds. So that's why it's one behavior that the birds have that has evolved in birds, where they come together to create a warmer roosting space for themselves. So more the birds, better for them. So some hypotheses say that these murmurations happen so that it's more visible for other birds to come and join. So that is one hypothesis. It's not exactly the best hypothesis, and nobody has actually proved any of it. But you can read upon these papers, and yeah. Is that okay, Deepali?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we are almost, yeah, this is the end of it. Anirudh has joined now. But yeah, this is it from my side. This is the end of the session. And it's already 6:59. So is there any other question that you want to discuss in the next 1 minute? Before I close the session. Any doubt? Could you post the PPT and answer? It's there in the YouTube. It's the YouTube sessions have been shared with the in the NPTEL. You do get NPTEL mails, right? So there is one link that has been shared, and those links, all the YouTube videos are there. So I mean, you don't need the PPT. You can easily look at the video and get it. So yeah. You have it in your dashboard. Okay. Thank you. Bye. See you everyone next Friday. Bye.